So, day one of the rabbit. What a cool day it's been, to be honest. I obviously the excitement of having the product is a big part of it. Sorry, I'm just bringing up the rabbit hole over here so I can quickly reference it if I need to. I obviously, like a lot of people who bought this product, there's sort of a gap between understanding how you're going to use the rabbit, or the R1 I should say, and sort of how everybody else is using it and what the intentions were and that kind of thing. Just to be clear, I don't really subscribe to any massive conspiracy. I don't think that anybody is trying to swindle me out of too much money. Most people are trying to swindle you somehow, but that's life. But I am in the product because I enjoy the product, and I think there's a lot of promise for something like this. So when I got the rabbit, I actually struggled immediately to be like, how do I approach it? What am I doing? What's the first thing I'm going to do? And I would say, the first thing I did was I asked the rabbit, what are some things you can do for me? And it gave a pretty succinct answer of, I'm an AI assistant, ask me any questions, anything you might be interested in, blah, blah, blah. But that in and of itself is such an example of where my first thoughts come in, right? It itself doesn't actually know how you should be using it, because there are so many more things than just asking you questions to be done. So, to rattle off the list, which you've probably heard 1,000 times before, there's a translator, and there's the Wolfram Alpha thing is in there, so you can get it to solve equations and whatever maths things, which is all great, but really standard sort of features for what I would expect for a device like this. I think after that, the first thing I started doing was the Magic Cam, and I did a bunch of Magic Cam photos. I don't know how many, to be honest. A bunch that I deleted that would just came out completely wrong, or something, and I have another video on that, so make sure you subscribe to see that one. But I guess my point was that until you find how the Rabbit R1 fits into your daily life, it's gonna be a journey to sort of get there. I think that we haven't had a device like this before, and I think that, regardless of what people think about it being in the early days and whether or not a product should have been released around it being in the early days, it is released and it is early days. So you don't have to like it, but it is that. So I imagine that people will slowly find more use as they keep going, and as the guys keep adding, which, a big huge shout out to Rabbit in the sense that they are really active on the Discord and listening to people and taking on feedback, and every week they do, or most weeks I should say, they do a little voice feedback session and discuss what's coming, and there's a lot of information floating around and it seems quite genuine, and they seem to be working really hard at getting updates out, and there's essentially been an update every week since release, which is a massive effort on any company's behalf. And again, more to the fact, it's a massive effort from a company that's probably been a bit shat on, excuse the Australian there, but it's been a bit shat on by a bunch of people because they don't really maybe enjoy the product. So for me, or they feel like, I'm sorry, maybe I should restate that. They feel like they've been cheated out of something, and I'm not exactly sure what it is that they are missing as of what was promised in the keynote. Everything there was sort of said that it's coming in the future, most of this stuff, and it's features to expect. So I think there are some things that I've seen that are missing, and I've posted about it on the forums and on the subreddit, and I've posted about it on the Discord before, which is I saw on the initial rabbit hole connections, there were things like just your Google account and things like that might have had a wider reach. So I would have loved something like my Google account to be attached, because it could maybe then go through my Google Drive, or use that as a search, or add documents to that as opposed to just emailing them or something along those lines. So that one, I think YouTube Music was on there, which is what I use because I never want to see an ad on YouTube ever again. And if you're watching an ad right now, I apologize for if you saw one at the beginning. That sucks. Get YouTube Premium. It's definitely worth it. So those are the things that I think are missing, but they never explicitly stated that those were going to be working either. So I feel like it is it is what it is. But I'll pop up a picture here to show you exactly how many of the services that I have linked, which is a total of 1. And I only have that 1 because of an update that happened 4 days ago, which is Suno, which even then it's just the free account, right? So I had Midjourney for a long time. Me and my wife used it for a lot of different things, and I think I probably get it again, and that's great. But the integrations with sort of creative AIs is great. It's awesome. But for me, on a day-to-day basis, it's not the thing I'm going to be using it the most for. So I guess what I'm working around to is that first day, I did 113 entries, and actually a few more than that, because I think when I deleted some, it deleted those entries, and also I then did some after that because I couldn't stop messing around with it. And I think that for me, what it's doing is it's actually separating, changing my workflows, right? So every time I have a question or I need to look something up, I specifically just use the R1. And now I found that the response time was fantastic. I haven't had any lag in it whatsoever. And I should be clear that that's also between at work with a SIM card. So I bought just a prepaid data SIM, and on my Wi-Fi at home, which is a 5 gigahertz connection. I don't know if I haven't tried it with a 2.4. I'm sure it doesn't really make much of a difference, but I've heard some really spotty examples of Wi-Fi. So I'd have to look into that a little bit further to understand a bit more about what people are using in their experience. But I've heard bad things about Wi-Fi, I guess is what I'm saying. So that's why I got the SIM. But now I've tried it on both, and I really haven't seen any issue at all. So it's been a really great experience for me in terms of using it as a search functionality. I asked it every question that I came up with in the day. My co-workers asked me questions, and I just asked it. They asked it questions, and we all had a really clever time with it. I think where my troubles came was I was just trying things out, right? So I wanted Wolfram Alpha to solve an equation for me. And the answer it kept telling me is I'm not going to solve any equations for you. It was treating me as if I was a primary school kid and didn't want to cheat on my homework, but I'm a fully grown man and I don't need help with my homework. No, I just wanted to answer a question because I'm trying to see the power of the tool. And so sometimes a couple of those things were a little bit limiting in that sense, and I'm not 100% sure if that's to do specifically with the way the Rabbit is, or if it's Perplexity or Wolfram Alpha, who's stopping who where, and that's sort of where I come up against a little bit of an unknown, right? I don't understand the back end of some of these questions that I'm asking. When is it using Perplexity? When is it using this thing? Other than when I'm very specific about which one I want it to use. So you can ask it a question like, use Perplexity to do X, or use Wolfram Alpha to do what. But if I'm just talking to the Rabbit, what's it doing? Where? Who's it talking to? How's it doing that? I'm not exactly sure. And the rabbit hole doesn't give much of an explanation either. So that would be something that I think would be really cool. Knowing which LLM or which system it's sort of speaking to, as sort of even just a note on the journal, right, that says, well, this was generated using X, would be great. I think that would give people a chance to sort of work towards what language I should be using and how to approach it with different questions. And I think I spoke about that in my Perplexity video as well, where I said that, a lot of that was, I think they gave it to us early, which is a great gift, but it also helped you learn how to speak to Perplexity better, which it certainly has for me in the time that I've used it. So that's something that I think is missing, is just a little note or something that says it was generated by. I find one frustrating thing that happened for me, and these are quality of life upgrades. If I accidentally push the button while it's talking, it interrupts whatever it's doing, and I then don't get a notification to say that something's finished, or as an example, this morning I was with my wife and I tried to generate a song using Suno, and then I went to turn the volume up, and because of that, it interrupted the generation of the Suno song, and like the song is there. Let me just confirm. Yeah, the song is there in my my Suno account, but it never played it, and it never told me it was done, and it just stopped the minute I touched the volume button. So I think, which it's a hard ask, right? And I understand maybe where the confusion came in, but I think that they said that they wanted a way, people wanted a way to adjust the volume wherever you were, which is correct. But because of that, when you push the button, I think the push to talk button overrides whatever action it's taking. So that's a small annoyance. I'm not exactly sure how easy some of this stuff is to fix, but it's something that needs to be fixed. If I've already got it working on a task, the volume changing shouldn't interrupt that. But all in all, had a really, really great time with the R1. I asked it at work. I got it to summarize a bunch of emails, I should say. I had it summarize a lot of my work day, and the thing where I got stuck was trying to get it to understand some of my tables and understand the context of the work that I do. So that I need to work on and have some more time with to sort of figure out. But outside of that, like, it worked amazingly. I didn't have to read the whole email. I just said, I said, hey, you, show me what it is that this is. Tell me, summarize this for me. And I was able to keep doing something else while it read the context, what the email was, and gave me sometimes too much information, right? Like, it's reading down to the contact information of each of the people sending the email, etc., etc. So really, really thorough. I did a couple recordings, and the meeting notes and the summary of those recordings is really great, spot on. Even so much to say, like, at some points it was saying to me that, you know, there was a background of X, Y, and Z was going on, and that's just background noises from somebody else talking something else, and it really brought it down to really, really great detail. So I would say a lot of people are going to find some really great use there. So I think while I know I'm going to get bashed online for this, it really doesn't bother me, right? Like, I don't care if people don't like the product. I think that you should get what it is that you'd like. I'm sure that if you stick with it, you keep trying, and you want to keep doing it, and the product's for you, great. I'm sure you're going to find heaps of uses for it, just like I did. But I, for one, am trying to change my workflow to utilize the device, and change my daily habits to utilize the device. And I found that if it were not for the fact that I can only see some of these results and read some of this stuff on my phone, which is primarily where I looked at the rabbit hole, I may not have touched my phone anywhere near as much. And so for that, the connection with other people is great. My daughter thinks it's the greatest thing that she's ever seen. It read us a story last night about a unicorn and a princess, which is awesome. I asked it to play a text-based Zork-like dungeon with me, and we did that. There are so many things, and I think that they sent out a prompt book, but that barely scratches the surface of some of the stuff you can do, and it's just really about your creativity in approaching the device itself. So, day one, awesome. Day two, still kick ass, and I'm hoping that I just keep going from here. So I think I'm going to keep making these videos. Like I said in the past, there's heaps of stuff to cover, and my plan for this vlog sort of thing that I'm making here is really just to keep bringing out videos with some of the stuff that I find, some of the use cases I've had, and speaking to the community, some of the other cool things that I see going around. So here's a few things. You can take off that little black sticker and leave that screen protector on, which is what I've done. I don't know, you can't really tell, but that screen protector that it came with is still on there. I did order one maybe a week and a half ago. I'm waiting for, which is a proper glass one, which I think is great. I'm really nervous about actually the back camera plate getting scratched or damaged, so I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing there yet. So I will have to think of something for that. I think in a lot of places you can, some phone places here in Australia anyway, you can get cut out screen protectors so they can cut them to size. So I might do that. I do think it needs a case, a bumper case of some kind. And again, I have no 3D printer, so I will be looking online for one of those, or If people have any they want to review, that'd be great, because I'm not exactly sure how I want to cover it, because here's the other thing. The color is so awesome that you don't really want to cover it up. I don't want to put a black thing on here, so the D-brand skins don't really appeal to me. I wish they made one. Do they make one that's clear? That'd be great. Clear with like a bit of a matte finish would be awesome. It would diminish a little bit of the orange, but I think that I still want it to be orange is my issue. And some of the rubber cases that I've seen online, they just don't look very orange. Like they're a bit of a blander orange, and it's hard. I don't know what to do, but I don't want to drop it either. It doesn't feel flimsy, I should say. It feels sturdy and solid enough, but even something like that, I drop it on concrete and it's gonna get damaged. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. Anyway, I'm rambling now, but I appreciate you listening to me. Hopefully you guys have found something. I'd love to hear from you guys below. Let me know if you have found any cool uses, some of the stuff that maybe I haven't mentioned here. Say it in the comments below. If you're here to hate on the device, I'm so sorry that it's not for you. And that's okay. Not everything is for everybody, but if you stick with it, I'm sure that you'll find something. You just got to work it into your day. That's my opinion. So yeah, until next time, let's see how deep the rabbit hole goes. Bye-bye.